So everyone should be able to see two me's. Well, nominally two me's, right? The sort of
Actually
three me's. Yes, here am I. Yeah. Yeah. So finding your creative vibe. Isn't, yeah, where's it hiding? Hey, they say every day I get up and my creative vibe's hiding, and I don't know where to find it. And you know, it could be anywhere, couldn't it? This little study, accidental study, is what started me on my path in the arts. I almost can't remember doing it. What I can remember is the feeling about it. It just appeared on the page, and I didn't know where it had come from. Right, that really energized me, because you know I've been working, and in the end something happened, and maybe that's part of finding a creative vibe. So just to continue on, there's often a lot kind of complementary duality, I think, in things, right? You know, yin and yang, if you like. But and I just jotted down a few word pairs that came to my mind, and this is what I came up with. Right, there's this whole idea of left brain, right brain. Right, it is not. Everyone knows it's not quite that simple now. Right, there's much more complex things going on in our gray matter. Right, but it persists, this idea that you know, the left brain controlling logical, verbal, and organized things, and the right brain being the kind of artistic side of things, right? You know, you could say head and heart, science and art, so close to my heart because I started in science, I've ended up in art, analysis and feeling, conscious, unconscious, conceiving, doing. Maybe there's lots of others as well, but the thing that strikes me is that in our normal life, we kind of start on the left and then go to the right. You know, everything we do is organized around doing something that is planned and then taking action on it. You know, getting it right and then doing it right. You know, organizing our thoughts and then sort of moving on with them, right? So there's that general plan of thinking and then doing. So all we got to do is start on the right and go left.
Yeah,
that's it. All we got to do is reverse. If you want to find your creative zone, you just reverse what you normally do, driving in reverse. Right, we all start in our day-to-day life, right? We're mainly thinking, analyzing, planning, and then we act and steer and manage and talk to people, and you know, sort of, we don't want to say anything until we know what our thoughts are, right? So we kind of do things in that way. But to get into your creative zone, you go in reverse. We got to start doing things, responding, playing, and having fun. You know, sort of in a way without an objective, right? Sort of, you know, separate from objectives, right? And then essentially your creative vibe appears. It appears because you're in that mode of not having an objective, right? Yeah. So
maybe we can add to Picasso's expression: inspiration will find you
that's
exist.
Right. Yeah.
It has to find you working.
That's right.
It has to find you playing as well.
That's right. Yeah, I could, yeah, working or play, yeah, working, playing, sort of generally doing something, right? And that is the disconnect, because, or for me anyway, that it's the disconnect because I'm so used to doing things after I've know I'm going to do the right thing. I'm trained as an engineer. That's what you do as an engineer, right? You don't do things unless you know it's going to be right. Otherwise, the bridge will fall down, the aircraft will fall out of the sky, right? And bad things happen. But in the arts, it's the opposite. You've got to quickly get to doing things, right? So and then you can do. There's a role for thinking and analyzing and planning, but that's after you're in your creative zone. Right, so that is the thing, right? You've got to find a way of just slipping into reverse and doing things a different way, and that is centered around doing something, right? So another thing. So anyway, that's if you like, sort of one point I think is important, and the other thing is I think widening your creative view is a good thing, right? Because there's all sorts of things that we do in life that are creative. It's just we don't log them as creative because we're so used to thinking of things as being being a day-to-day non-creative activity. It's just hiding.
You
just hiding, right?
Yeah.
A good best example is doodling, right? Doodling is obviously creative, and it's allowed, right? Like you doodle in meetings, everyone's happy with people doodling in meetings, but so you know, I mean, it's because it's a necessary part of life. But quilting's creative, right? I picked up a book on quilting once upon a time, right? But this one had a foreword by Alex Colville.
No
A
way.
forward by Alex Colville, and of course, one of the things he says is that, you know, it's a different medium, but it's creative. And anything you can see in your day-to-day life that has a creative element, I say log it, because then you're living a creative life, right? You're not thinking creativity is something separate from what you're doing, because you're already doing it. So here's a kind of grab bag of things that I find are useful, right? They are, first of all, starting with something quick. Quick sketches are magical. So quick sketches get you doing something without there being an objective to it, right? And use, you know, scrappy material. Put images all over one over another, right? Just don't care about the result, because it's doing the art that actually gets things going, right? Trying new combinations of materials is really useful because it's interesting and you're getting surprising results. Once you know how to use a material, it becomes a little bit more routine. But trying new combinations of things, seeing whether they work or not, that helps you get into your creative zone. It's fun. It's and at the same time you're kind of learning what your materials will do, right? You know, sort of. So there's all sorts of things that you could try, right? Here's a good one. You know, keep ample supplies so you don't feel precious about it. I have never done a good watercolor on my last watercolor sheet. Yeah. I guarantee you, I get down to like 3 sheets of paper, and they all are rubbish, right? Whereas the one on the top of the sheet, top of the pack, always works out well. And that's because you don't care, right? You've got plenty more pieces of paper, so what's the problem, right? So that it gets you out of that worry thing. So as soon as you get vested in something and saying this is important, right? You know, the problem, the thing rapidly goes downhill. Equally, you know, use as large a sheet as you can. That your eye sees the edge of the paper and it starts worrying about it, right? And any kind of edge effect is a bad effect, right? It just lines suddenly find their way turning the wrong direction. So I always say use a big sheet, and your arm moves a little bit more freely when you're using large sheets as well. They have materials ready. It's a real pain trying to be creative and find things, right? So one thing I do a lot of is like I reuse things that I've already worked on, right? Particularly my canvases. I kind of quit. I've never thrown out a canvas in my life. If it doesn't work out first time, then I'll turn it over and do something else on the same canvas. It actually has a very nice effect that you know, that whatever's there sort of says there's already something, right? Because the idea of there being nothing, have to start from nothing, a blank page, a blank canvas. A lot of, you know, writers and artists have said, you know, sort of that's a scary thing, right? So if you're working from something that's actually got something on it, it kind of gets over that hump. Small works are great, right? Because you can do quite a few of them. So I always, if I'm doing something large, I always have some smaller things around, so that you know, I've got I've got alternatives to develop my creative ideas. And related to that, art is a numbers game, right? The more you do, the more things work out, right? So good thing to do is do art first, right? So if you've got the choice, I know some of us have to, get to meetings at 7 o'clock or something, right? But if you got the choice, do a bit of art before you do those chores, right? I personally, I always try and do art before I do emails, and every day. Do something every day, even if only for a few minutes, right? I mean, sometimes, I'll be quite honest. Sometimes I just kind of almost clean a brush and make a brush stroke, or I'll just fiddle around with a drawing for a couple of minutes. But I just, on principle, I will do something every day. But this quote I really love, right? Always be drawing. Draw with your eyes when you can't draw with the pencil. Isn't that freeing, right? That means that you don't even need a pencil to draw. You draw with your eyes. And Jean-Auguste Dominique Ingres said that. Here's another great one. Inspiration is getting to our studies at 9 a.m., right? So said Eugene Delacroix, who was Ingres' great nemesis, right? There are two factions. Ingres was the classicist, and Delacroix was the new romantic. I just read recently, sort of, Somerset Maugham said something very similar. He said, sort of something along the lines of, luckily inspiration arrived at 9 o'clock every morning. And then France mentioned earlier, inspiration does exist, but it must find you working. That's something I remember every day. And Picasso said that. And it's funny, they all say the same thing, don't they? Everyone says it's when you're doing it, it arrives, right? If you think about it, you'll freeze up. It's like writer's block, right?
It's almost like you have to go at it from not taking it seriously.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you get traction, and then it gets serious. But then by then you've won. You've got the idea. You've got the momentum.
You're into that mode where the creative part of your brain is lit up and active, engaged. Yeah. Does it get easier to be creative? Well, of course it does. It does get easier, because the more you do, the easier it becomes. It's that simple. And it's the same with most things, right? They get easier with practice, right? And the problem of worrying about what you're doing can be learned as well, right? But it's really a question of realizing that it's not, there's no risk in doing something, right? It's not like, as I say, it's not like the bridge is going to fall down, right? They feel the fear and do it anyway, right? Because the fear never really goes away. That is Susan Jeffers, right? So her classic. I thought it'd be good just to show how one of my sketches worked out, but I've moved everything. I've moved the eye, I've moved the ear, I've moved, just everything's got moved. Everything's got moved, right? And it started off with charcoal and watercolor, but there's some pastel on there, there's some Conti on there. I basically picked up different mediums and worked with it until I got something that I felt was working, right?
So try not to think about things as mistakes. Just think of it as a bend in the road, or a bend in the road.
That's right. Bob Ross said that. Right? No mistake. There are no mistakes, just happy little accidents.
Yeah. Well, unless you put your foot through the canvas. But
anyway, this is a great quote here, right? If I create from the heart, nearly everything works. From the head, almost nothing. So said Marc Chagall, right?
His expression never changed.
Another great quote: creativity is allowing yourself to make mistakes. Art is knowing which ones to keep. A few people have said that, Scott Adams amongst them, and there he is. To create one's world in any of the arts takes courage, and it is courageous when you feel the fear and do it anyway, right? I think that is the definition of courage, if you like, when you do something when you're fearful of it. And Georgia O'Keeffe said that. So I'll just conclude with, the more art I do, the less I worry. the less I worry, the better my art. And I said that. Yeah, I hope, hopefully. Anyway, so finding your creative vibe, right? So first start, then think. Do think, but think afterwards. Disquiet doesn't go away, but don't let it get in the way. Widen your creative view, because all of life is creative. And have fun, of course, because your creative vibe will then find you.